As we all know damn well by now, there's been a lot of back and forth in the games industry about whether or not loot boxes can be considered gambling or not. Some government bodies and officials around the world have said that no, loot boxes aren't gambling, whereas others have said yes, they are. So where is the line drawn? Are loot boxes gambling? Are they not? And how blurry is the line? And does that matter? And can you still cross a line if a line is blurry? And it's just all lines and blurry lines and loot boxes and lines.
Kind of like how you're seeing today after 4 hours sleep.
Yeah.
Every line's blurred for you, I'm sure. In an interview with Eurogamer this week, Executive Director of the UK Gamelin Commission, Tim Miller, shared his thoughts on the issue and what can be done to fix loot boxes. Miller held firm with the Commission's position that loot boxes are not currently considered gambling in the UK because they're not covered in the Gambling Act. But he did point out the Commission are aware of the blurring line between gambling and video games, and they are monitoring that line constantly. When asked what the Commission would consider to be crossing the line, Miller cited the case against FIFA Ultimate Team coin trading websites earlier this year. In that case, the Commission took legal action against YouTuber Craig Nepenthes Douglas and his business partner after they were caught promoting a FIFA gambling website to underage viewers.
But when it comes to big companies like EA, Miller believes we're yet to see a case of a company crossing the line with loot boxes. Because loot boxes cannot be exchanged for real money, this is what prevents them from being considered gambling. Quote, in relation to loot boxes specifically, the key thing here is the loot boxes we've seen, none of them contain a facility to be able to cash out within the game itself. And that's really the key thing which is preventing them from crossing that line into becoming gambling. Now, Eurogamer pointed out that although loot boxes don't necessarily fall into the legal definition of gambling, they do use the same practices and psychology. Miller agreed some of the behaviours between loot boxes and actual gambling are quite similar, but the solution he pointed to was to educate people about the potentially addictive nature of these activities. So that's interesting, he's gone for educating the participants, the players, the people who are involved in it, rather than kind of regulating the industry, which is the UK Gambling Commission. I guess he's going to have to decide which way to go on this, and it's probably going to be a mix of both in the end. There's going to be some kind of regulation as well as some kind of stronger, advertising around awareness and stuff like that, kind of like you get with cigarettes and whatever. They just kind of put these public information notices out there in quite prominent places. You can already see it in boxes, I guess, in video games, with age ratings. It gives you a bit of a description as to what's in the game. That might evolve into something that involves loot boxes.
You know, some of our commenters, they play a game, right, Mike? What they do is every time we say the word loot boxes, they take a shot. And I've counted so far, we've said it 12 times. So
we always have shot glasses and spirits.
So drink carefully, guys. Drink carefully, responsibly, because if you have been playing the loot box game on this video, that's 13 now. You'll be fucking paralytic by the end of this video.
Is that why we keep making these videos? We're just like trying to just generate a nation of alcoholics.
Eurogamer also mentioned that at a recent Gambling Commission conference, a lot of people from the gambling industry approached them to ask how they could help with the current issues in the gaming industry. Apparently, many of these people want to help but couldn't because they had no idea about video games and the gaming industry. Miller said this lack of understanding was in itself a big risk, and just because there isn't any evidence to suggest there is a link between loot boxes and gambling, it doesn't mean the link isn't there. And possibly in a subtle reference to the ESRB and ESA in the US, he said, quote, my worry is the lack of evidence will cause some voices around this debate to say, everything's fine, we don't need to do anything. And that's simply wrong. The lack of evidence in itself should be a worry for us. Miller said the Commission doesn't have enough understanding about what the actual risks of loot boxes are, and rather than jump straight into regulation, they should take their time to work out the best approach.
The UK Parliament are the ones who define what is and what isn't gambling, Miller said. The Commission act only as an advisor to the government, so any official action rests with them. And while countries like Belgium might be moving on with their own investigations about loot boxes, that doesn't mean the UK is obliged to follow. He said, quote, just because Belgium may be able to take action doesn't automatically mean that we, as a gambling regulator, will be able to. Every country decides for themselves how they best regulate or control how to keep people safe. I think maybe the most interesting thing that he says in the whole interview is the fact that none of the loot boxes actually cross the line into being gambling because they just aren't cashable outable. Is that
cashable?
I'm going to keep going.
Just roll with it.
They're not cashable outable. You just can't.
They don't know. Just carry on.
So they're just not cashable outable, and that means that they don't cross the line. And even though that line is very blurry now, and there's a blurry line, there's still a line and that it hasn't yet been crossed. But also the fact that he says that just because there's no research or there's not enough data and evidence to suggest there's a link between loot boxes and gambling doesn't mean the link isn't there. So by the sounds of it, he's saying that that needs to be looked into. Maybe there'll be research commission into this now so we can actually get some proper data to look into whether or not there is that link there between loot boxes and gambling. This has become a whole other big different issue over the last few months, the way this has kind of exploded and developed into like a public safety thing, which is I guess what we were talking about to begin with, but now to hear people from the UK Gambling Commission doing in-depth interviews with Eurogamer about it, it's interesting to see how it's developed over the last few months for sure.
I think personally it is great that they are having these conversations now and there is these articles being written and people are taking note. I know I've said it before, but you know, this is 20th loot box video we've done, so I mean I'm going to run out of things to say eventually, and I pretty much have done, but you know, this is all good. Let's just wait for people to have their conversations and to figure out how they best protect the vulnerable people, like the children and the people who are, you know, got gambling addictions and problems, who are susceptible to having an issue with loot boxes and stuff in games. How to protect those people and how to go forward. Whether it's gambling or not, I don't know whether this guy from the Gamelin Commission is the right guy to solve the problem, because if it doesn't fall within the legal definition, he's got no job to do, basically. It's not his job, but it's still very complicated, and I'm not best qualified to solve all the problems. Let's just see where it goes.
Let's just read some comments. First up in the comments this week, commenting on everything worth mentioning from PSX 2017, La Detail says, "Guys, you've worked hard enough. Go on holiday." I
mean, I agree. We do work very hard. We have got a week off coming up with Christmas.
Yeah,
and that, so.
We're working doubly hard to prepare for that week off. We've had like snow snow-related disasters that have been holding us back, and still, we're filming videos and stuff to get out to you over Christmas so that you're not missing out over Christmas. That's how hard we're working for you.
And if we look like we're having less sleep than usual, it's nothing to do with the premiere of Star Wars last night, is it, Mike?
Absolutely
nothing to do with that. It's all work. Next up on the same video, trying to go positive, he comments, "You guys are the wet blankets of the gaming society, so negative about everything all the time. Well done trying to go positive." Like how...
Yeah. There's definitely wetter blankets than us, by the way. Definitely.
He's pointing out that we're being negative by being negative himself. That hypocrisy is lost on him, isn't it?
He's been doing these comments all for ages, and I'll go with a positive username and I'll change my ways, but you just can't help it because we're that shit.
Try harder, f***ing hell.
Also commenting on the PSX video from this week, Kids In says, "Semi-memorable my ass. Medieval is bloody awesome."
Explain yourself, Mike. This was your comment.
Yeah, listen, right, I liked Medieval, I said that, and I enjoyed Medieval, and it was one of my childhood games. My question is, why Medieval? I mean, also, you know, why not Medieval? I acknowledge that. Why not Medieval, right? It's good. It's a good game. But there's a lot of other games. There's so many other games. I just don't understand.
More memorable. I think memorable is the
more memorable
point of contention.
Yes, I said semi-memorable because, you know, it is kind of memorable, right? If anybody said, what was your favourite games on the PlayStation? If you said Medieval in the top 20, fucking bullshit. That didn't happen.
How dare you have an opinion? Bullshit.
No one's saying Medieval's in their top 20 PlayStation games. It's just not happening.
Liam might.
No. I'm confident.
No!
I'm fully confident of this. Even the guy who made the game did an interview like a couple of days after they announced this.
I think we got this, Mike. I think you've covered it.
He was.
I think you've answered.
Honestly, read the interview that he did. Okay, you'll see what I mean.
It's fine, Mike. Let's move on.
Don't like being questioned.
Next up on one of our midweek roundups, Memes on Toast comments, "Just realised Gareth looks like Ronnie O'Sullivan."
Top player, top sleep.
I mean, I wouldn't mind being a few quid behind Ronnie O'Sullivan, but whether I look like him or not, I don't know. I've had some comparisons in the past. I think Ronnie O'Sullivan is pretty weak to be fair. Any better suggestions, obviously, down in the comments.
And commenting on the same video, Matt768 says, "Let's just hope customizable dongs become reality someday." It is reality. It's a thing. It's what was it? Conan?
Yeah, Conan Exiles, but I think he means in real life.
Oh, I see. Right. So you could become reality. Sorry. Yeah.
My heart goes out to you, dude. I don't envy your position. That's for sure. See what I'm trying to say? I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I should just leave.
This is fucking outro.
I don't even know what I'm saying.
Okay, so we've yet to see loot boxes that cross the line. I'm sure some of you disagree with that. Let us know down in the comments. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this every single day. Please do check out that video right there, right now if you want, and the link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. We'll see you next time.